7 miles beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, in a place where the pressure would crush a human body in seconds and darkness has reigned for millions of years, scientists discovered something that could change the future of medicine, energy, and global power. The Mariana Trench, specifically Challenger Deep, the deepest known point on Earth at nearly 11 kilometers below sea level, has always been treated as a curiosity. An extreme environment, a place to test out equipment and set records. The ocean's basement, interesting, but ultimately irrelevant to human affairs. But in recent years, that perception has changed dramatically, because what researchers found in the sediment samples retrieved from the Hadal Zone, the deepest regions of the ocean trenches, was not just exotic life surviving in impossible conditions. They found organisms with biological capabilities that could unlock anti-aging treatments, revolutionize materials science, and provide insights into energy systems that could power civilization for centuries. They found ecosystems containing minerals critical to battery production and enough methane hydrate deposits to dwarf all known fossil fuel reserves. In short, they found the future. And now, multiple nations are racing to control it. This is the story of what lies at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Why it matters far beyond marine biology, and why the next great geopolitical struggle might not be fought over oil fields or rare earth mines, but over the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean that until recently we assumed were empty and worthless. For decades, the deep ocean was considered essentially lifeless below certain depths. Scientists assumed that the combination of crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, complete darkness, and toxic chemical conditions would make complex life impossible in the Hadal Zone. But when deep-sea submersibles finally reached Challenger Deep and began retrieving sediment samples, they discovered something extraordinary. The mud was teeming with life, not just a few hardy bacteria clinging to existence, but thousands of microbial species, most of them previously unknown to science. These were not simple organisms barely surviving. They were thriving, metabolically active, and exhibiting biological capabilities that challenge fundamental assumptions about the limits of life. The organisms discovered in Hadal sediment, collectively called extremophiles, have evolved mechanisms to survive conditions that would instantly kill virtually any surface-dwelling life form. They withstand pressures exceeding 1,000 times atmospheric pressure. They function in environments with virtually no oxygen. They have developed cellular structures and biochemical pathways that allow them to repair damage and maintain function under stress that would shred normal biological molecules. And it is these survival mechanisms that have captured the attention of researchers far beyond marine biology. The most significant discovery involves DNA repair mechanisms. Several species of Hadal microbes possess extraordinarily efficient systems for repairing damage to their genetic material, damage that accumulates from radiation, pressure, and chemical stress in their environment. In human cells, DNA damage accumulates over time and is a primary driver of aging, cancer, and degenerative diseases. Our cellular repair mechanisms work, but they are imperfect and decline with age. The result is cellular senescence, tissue breakdown, and eventually death. But Hadal extremophiles have evolved repair systems that work far more efficiently. They can fix multiple types of DNA damage simultaneously. They have redundant repair pathways that ensure critical genetic information is preserved even under extreme stress. Researchers studying these mechanisms believe they could be adapted for medical applications. Treatments that enhance human cellular repair, slow or reverse aspects of aging, prevent cancer by fixing mutations before they become dangerous, and protect cells from radiation damage. This is not science fiction speculation. It is active research. Biotech companies and government laboratories are already working to understand and potentially replicate these biological systems. The implications for medicine are staggering, but medical applications are just the beginning. The extremophiles of the Mariana Trench have also evolved unique proteins, enzymes, and structural materials adapted to function under extreme pressure and in corrosive chemical environments. These biomolecules have properties that materials scientists find extraordinarily valuable. Enzymes that remain stable and functional at extreme temperatures and pressures could revolutionize industrial processes, from chemical manufacturing to waste treatment to energy production, that currently require expensive and energy-intensive conditions. Structural proteins that maintain integrity under crushing pressure could inspire new materials for deep-sea equipment, aerospace applications, and protective systems that need to function in extreme environments. And the metabolic pathways these organisms use to extract energy from chemical reactions in environments with no sunlight could provide insights into novel energy generation systems, biological fuel cells, hydrogen production, or other alternatives to fossil fuels. The potential economic value of these discoveries is enormous. A single enzyme or protein with the right properties could be worth billions in pharmaceutical or industrial applications. Nations that control access to hadal biological resources and lead in understanding their mechanisms will have significant technological and economic advantages. Beyond biology, the Mariana Trench and surrounding deep ocean regions contain physical resources that have become critical to modern technology and the energy transition. Scattered across vast areas of the deep sea floor are polymetallic nodules, potato-sized lumps of rock containing high concentrations of nickel, cobalt, copper, and manganese. These metals are essential for battery production, particularly the lithium-ion batteries used in electric vehicles and energy storage systems. As the world transitions away from fossil fuels, demand for these battery metals is skyrocketing. Current land-based mining cannot meet projected demand. The deep ocean contains more of these metals than all known terrestrial deposits combined. Mining companies and governments view these nodules as the solution to battery supply constraints. China, in particular, has made deep-sea mineral extraction a strategic priority, developing specialized vessels and robotics to survey and eventually harvest nodules from the seafloor. But harvesting these resources isn't simple. The nodules rest on the seafloor in ecosystems we barely understand. Mining them would require scraping vast areas of seabed, destroying habitats, and potentially disrupting ocean chemistry in ways that could have unpredictable consequences. Even more significant and more controversial are methane hydrate deposits. Also called fire ice, methane hydrates are ice-like structures where methane molecules are trapped in frozen water. They form under the high pressure and low temperature conditions found in deep ocean sediment. The amount of energy stored in ocean methane hydrate deposits is staggering. Conservative estimates suggest they contain more energy than all known oil, natural gas, and coal reserves combined. Successfully extracting this methane could provide massive energy supplies for centuries. But the risks are equally enormous. Methane hydrates are stable only under specific pressure and temperature conditions. Disturbing them through extraction could trigger underwater landslides, destabilize continental slopes, and release vast quantities of methane into the atmosphere. Methane is a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide. Despite these risks, multiple nations are developing extraction technologies. Japan has conducted test drilling. China has announced plans for commercial extraction. The United States maintains research programs exploring feasibility. The race to exploit deep ocean energy resources is accelerating, driven by the same dynamics that have driven resource competition throughout history. Whoever controls the supply controls the market, and whoever controls the market holds tremendous economic and geopolitical power. The deep ocean presents a unique governance challenge. Who owns these resources, and who decides what can be extracted? Technically, the deep ocean beyond national exclusive economic zones, the waters within 200 nautical miles of a country's coast, is international territory governed by the International Seabed Authority. Resources are supposed to be managed for the benefit of all humanity, with regulations preventing destructive exploitation. But in practice, the deep ocean is controlled by whoever has the technology and military capability to access it. And that list is very short, primarily the United States, China, Russia, Japan, and a few European nations. China has been particularly aggressive in developing deep sea capabilities. China has built specialized research vessels, deployed autonomous underwater vehicles, and established a comprehensive ocean floor mapping program. In 2020, China's Fenduzi submersible reached the bottom of Challenger Deep, demonstrating technical parity with Western capabilities. More significantly, China has announced plans to build permanent deep-sea research stations, essentially underwater bases that would give them continuous presence in strategic ocean areas. These stations would serve scientific purposes, but they would also provide platforms for surveillance, resource assessment, and potentially military applications. The United States, meanwhile, has historically focused on ocean mapping and understanding rather than exploitation. The NOAA vessel Okeanos Explorer conducts exploration missions, documenting deep-sea biology and geology. But American deep-sea presence is intermittent, not permanent, and focused on knowledge rather than resource extraction or territorial control. This creates a strategic imbalance. One analyst put it bluntly, we are treating the deep ocean like a library to study, while others are treating it like a gas station to exploit. In geopolitics, possession is 9/10 of the law. The nation that establishes permanent presence and extraction capabilities will effectively control these resources, regardless of what international agreements say. The military implications of deep ocean technology extend beyond resource control. The Hadal Zone offers potential advantages for surveillance, communications, and strategic positioning. And these possibilities have not gone unnoticed by defense planners. Underwater sensor networks could monitor submarine movements, track surface vessels, and provide early warning of naval deployments. Autonomous underwater vehicles could patrol vast ocean areas, gathering intelligence without risking human lives. Deep-sea installations could serve as forward bases for sensors, weapons, or communication relays. Moreover, the extreme environment expertise required for Hadal operations translates directly to military advantage. Nations that can reliably operate equipment at depths of 11 kilometers can certainly operate anywhere in the shallower waters where submarines and underwater infrastructure exist. China's deep-sea drone swarms, autonomous vehicles capable of coordinated operations, represent a particular concern for Western naval planners. These systems could theoretically blanket strategic ocean choke points, monitor undersea cables, or even deploy weapons, all while being extremely difficult to detect or counter. The deep ocean is becoming militarized, not through treaties or declarations, but through the gradual deployment of dual-use technology that serves both scientific and strategic purposes. There is another dimension to the Mariana Trench's significance that extends beyond Earth entirely: astrobiology. The trench serves as the closest analog we have to the ocean environments believed to exist on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, and Enceladus, Saturn's moon with subsurface seas. Both of these moons are considered prime candidates in the search for extraterrestrial life. They have liquid water oceans beneath thick ice shells, no sunlight penetrating to their depths, and likely similar pressure and temperature conditions to Earth's Hadal zones. By studying how life survives and thrives in the Mariana Trench, scientists gain insights into what life might look like on these distant worlds. The extremophiles, the chemosynthetic ecosystems that derive energy from chemical reactions rather than photosynthesis, and the adaptations to crushing pressure and toxic chemistry. All of these provide templates for what to look for when we eventually send probes into Europa's ocean. NASA and other space agencies explicitly use Hadal research to inform missions to icy moons. The autonomous underwater vehicles being developed for trench exploration are prototypes for the vehicles that might one day explore Europa's seas. The biological signatures scientists look for in trench sediment guide what biosignatures future space missions should target. In this sense, the Mariana Trench is humanity's training ground for exploring alien oceans. What we learn in Earth's deepest waters shapes how we will search for life beyond our planet. Yet, for all the promise these discoveries hold, there is a darker reality. We are racing to exploit the deep ocean before we understand it. The organisms being studied for medical applications exist in ecosystems we have barely begun to catalog. The nodules being targeted for mining support biological communities we know almost nothing about. Plastic debris has been found at Challenger Deep. This is proof that human pollution reaches even the most remote environments on Earth. Mining operations would disrupt sediment that has not been disturbed in millions of years, potentially releasing trapped pollutants or disturbing microbial communities in ways that ripple through ocean chemistry. There is also a more speculative but deeply troubling possibility. The deep ocean sediment may harbor ancient viruses or bacteria that have been isolated from surface ecosystems for vast spans of time. Disturbing these sediments through mining could potentially release pathogens that surface life has no immunity to. This is not pure speculation. We know that melting permafrost has released ancient microbes. The principle is the same for deep ocean sediment, only more extreme because the isolation is more complete and the timescales are longer. The fundamental question facing humanity is whether the deep ocean should be treated as the global commons, a shared heritage that benefits all of mankind and is protected from destructive exploitation, or whether it will become just another frontier to be claimed, exploited, and fought over by nations competing for strategic advantage. Right now, we are rushing toward the second option. The knowledge being gained from Hadal exploration is being treated as proprietary. The resources are being eyed for national economic advantage. The strategic positioning is being pursued for military benefit. What was discovered at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is genuinely extraordinary. Biological systems could revolutionize medicine, resources could power civilization, and insights could guide our search for life in the cosmos. But whether these discoveries lead to shared human progress or accelerated geopolitical competition, whether they are used to heal or to dominate, remains an open question. The trench has revealed the future of power and life. What we choose to do with that revelation will define what kind of future we actually get.